All right, welcome to the Martini, another episode where we celebrate the final shot of the day and the wrap. And I am having a conversation here with E. Butterly as she has a lovely pina colada. And I have my producer over here, Eric Matthews, director, producer, actor. And we are talking about the one mistake producers make on studio shoots. We've all been a part of productions and we have seen follies. We're going to page six it where it's the names have been changed to protect the innocent, right? But there are lessons to be learned in mistakes. I mean, if they say you get smarter with the more mistakes you make, I should be a genius by now. Far from it.
I always say never make the same mistake twice.
Yes, that is the litmus test, right? And so what are some mistakes you've seen producers make on a studio shoot? Anybody?
I think I have come up through the craft as a script supervisor, and I see a lot of producers who don't think they need to hire a script supervisor. I actually had a producer say to me one time, it's a 30-second commercial. I can keep track of whether the actors can say the lines for 30 seconds. And I say, okay, cool, but if you do 72 takes of a hamburger rotating on a platter, do you remember which one that the client liked? Do you remember which one the agency liked? Somebody needs to just write that down and keep track of it, because the script supervisor, a lot of people think, is in charge of continuity, but they're not. They help with continuity, but their primary focus is to take written notes for post-production. They're the only on-set advocate for the editor. So a lot of producers don't feel the need to hire a script supervisor. I can't tell you how many low-budget movies don't have script supervisors. But even if it's an industrial, even if it's a corporate, even if it's a commercial, if you want somebody to keep track of everything for your editor, to keep things organized, to give it a slate number, to give it a take number, to write it all down, so your editor does not have to literally watch all 72 takes, or all 8 hours of footage. They just need to look at the ones that the script supervisor has written down. The director said this was the best. Start here. Doesn't mean the editor can't look at it. But if I can save an editor 1 hour of time scrubbing through footage, then I've made my day rate. And giving adequate prep time. On a feature film, the script supervisor needs a couple days to break down the script and to do their prep work. Even on the day of shooting, you need to have a little bit of time to get there, watch the blocking rehearsal, because you're doing a blocking rehearsal, right? Watch the blocking rehearsal, make some changes, some comments. Say, in the last scene, they were wearing a blue shirt. This scene, you've got them in a red shirt. Is that a problem for anybody? It's important that a script supervisor have a little bit of time at the beginning of the day to check in with all the departments and say, hey, are you prepared? You put the black eye on the actor in, scene 52, because that's coming up. So just want to make sure you're ready. So prep time for a script supervisor, at the beginning of the day and at the beginning of the shoot. And just hiring a script supervisor, I'm a little biased, but I have not worked on one shoot, not once in my career, where I haven't made a save and caught something and had everybody go, oh, crap. Oh, we forgot about that. Thank God you're here.
Right. Hey, Alex, you got something to add to this?
Yeah, as far as the mistakes that producers make in studios, understand what the word a la carte means, because you get a package price for the studio. Maybe you get the lighting, so a certain amount of lighting, certain amount of grip, and you have to really understand that anything that's not included in that package is extra, and that's an extra charge to you, which means there's an extra charge to the client, the agency, so on and so forth. So just making sure that your whole team, and when I say team, I mainly, in this instance, is mainly talking about grip and electric, the gaffers, that they understand that This is what we have to work with. And if you need something, let us know or let somebody know, because then there's an additional cost that has to be added to that line item at the end of it. That's important.
Gotcha.
But boy, you get people start going back there and grabbing stuff, and that's going to add up at the end of the day.
Right. I think one of the things I've noticed that new producers make on studio shoots or shoots in general is that they don't think about what to do after they've gotten all the resources and elements to the set or location. What happens afterwards? Right? We filled up these 55-gallon tanks of water. Well, how are we going to drain them and get the water out of the studio? Or I swear to God, on more than one occasion, I have seen a horror and/or, satanic music video type shoot where this poor model is scantily clad and drenched in fake movie blood,
Yeah.
and it's a wrap. And they're letting her go out the door where she's just covered in fake blood, looking totally like, a full-on victim of something,
Yep.
right? And she's going to get in her car with this red sticky food dye
Nasty,
and
yeah.
blood. And they don't think, oh, we should have shot this at a facility where there's just a shower.
Have a shower facilities. Yeah.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that the talent can go home without messing up their car or looking like they need assistance from first responders.
It is nice if you're a producer, if you have experience in a bunch of other departments, that's great. But you can't be an expert in all the departments, and you don't know what you don't know. So if you're prepping a job, it is a really good idea to contact people who are experts and say, hey, I think I know what I'm doing, but is there anything I'm forgetting? Talk to someone in hair and makeup, talk to an actor, talk to a gaffer, talk to a special effects person, and they'll say, well, don't forget, you need to take a shower, so you might want to consider that, or at the very least, give the actress a towel to sit on in her car, or just, you can't think of everything, so you should talk to people who know more about it than you.
Right. That is true. And just going the extra mile to make sure that everybody's taken care of and that everything has been considered is just kind of a thing that new producers sometimes just don't know how to do yet. And was it? I think it's Roger Staubach who says that there's very little traffic on the extra mile. Right, not bad. I always like that one. New producers, like you said, consulting with established producers who have done a horror film. I mean, there are certain elements to a horror film that are not, they don't teach you that in film school.
And they don't happen in rom-coms.
And
That's true.
They don't have it in
That's true.
rom-coms.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and even if you're an old producer, I mean, there's new technology, there's new techniques. And, if I came up through the film ranks where we actually shot on film and then it switched over to digital, I mean, I could be the most experienced producer in the world, but if now we're using digital technology and I don't know, oh, I was supposed to hire a DIT, I didn't know that because that wasn't a thing 20 years ago.
Right.
Or
Starlink uplink so that dailies can get out. From
right.
a
Or,
location.
I just directed a short film recently and I had to buy like a hard drive to put the footage on. And I'm like, oh, somebody please tell me about this because I don't know. And so I had my DIT. He sent me a very wonderful email that obviously he had prepared in advance that you need to buy one of these hard drives and you can buy, here's the cheap version, here's the medium version, here's the expensive version, but please avoid these brands and please avoid the kinds that are like this. Who knew? I certainly didn't know that. Now I do. But at the time, I mean, even with 30 years of experience in the business, that's a new technology that I'm aware of, but I certainly didn't know to budget that.
Right. Yeah. Andrew, do you have any experience with new producers who come up
I
short?
have some thoughts.
We're gonna wait for Andrew to sit in, and I don't know if anybody's listening, but my mic is getting very
This
low.
man needs some ice.
I'm fading. Oh, my lovely
Amy,
wife.
Amy to the rescue.
Oh, my lovely wife. I love my wife. Oh my God.
My thought, not to ignore your question, but just and maybe this answers
Ignore my question, Andrew.
But my kind of word of advice to new producers is, there's sort of a back and forth, right? So a producer it's not just us as freelancers who are vying to be employed and hired by a producer. But producers, in a way, they're sort of auditioning for the crew. And if you have a producer who's not doing things well and they're mismanaging production and they're forgetting stuff, or they're, pushing lunch and not asking for grace, or they're asking people to work on a flat, but then they're kind of pushing the hour. Like, you're going to start getting into a situation where crew doesn't want to work for you.
Yeah. You have a revolt.
And in general, and you very quickly can lose ground as a producer and not be able to hire crew because you have a reputation locally in that community as a shit producer, to be frank.
Right.
And crew are going, like, do not work for this guy. He takes 60 days to pay you, or is going to dick you around on your, little bit of overtime here and there, or not paying meal penalties or whatever, or trying to, whatever the situation is, not providing adequate prep time, just expecting you to kind of just jump in and make things work, and not being a good producer. So as important as it is for us as freelancers, be it, and it could be even actors too, as an actor, crew member, grip, electric, script soup, camera operator, you name it, like, as important as it is for us to do our jobs well and effectively and professionally, to where hopefully a good producer will say, I really liked working with Eve Butterly, I want to hire her again. Well, Eve may do a job where she's totally on point the whole time and is great, but that producer may really suck. And Eve may be like, I don't want to work for that guy again. And I don't want to name names, but I'm pretty sure we've all experienced that.
We all have names that we're thinking of right now.
And honestly, like,
Is
this
he
same
in this
advice
room
can
right
also
now?
this same advice can be applied to a new director too.
Right.
Not just producers, but anybody really above the line. EPs, directors, anything like that. If you are not good at your job and you are acting in a unprofessional manner, you're very quickly going to find yourself without crew on future
ostracized.
projects, because you're going to have a reputation as somebody that people do not want to work for.
Right.
So to piggyback off of what Andrew just said, I recently met a guy, and he says, hey, I've written a script, do you want to give me some notes on it? And, I'll buy you lunch. And I said, okay, cool. So I went out to lunch with this fella, and he was telling me about the script. And I kind of thought that there might be an opportunity for me to direct this movie. And he had just written a couple scenes. The more I'm talking with him, he was saying, no, I'm writing this feature. I'm going to direct it. I'm going to raise the money and produce it. I'm going to buy a camera and I'm going to shoot it. And I'm also going to buy some software that I hear exists, and I'm going to edit it. Man had never been on a film set before in his entire life, and literally thought, how hard could it be? Now, this man had a lot of money. And a friend of mine who's not in the film business said to me, take his money. And I said, but then my name becomes associated with this shit project.
Train wreck.
It's going to be a train wreck, because this man, not only did he not have any experience, he had a very inflated sense of his own self-worth. Like, he had the Dunning-Kruger effect dripping from his ears. And also, he was not a very nice man. He was telling me stories about how he had hidden assets and left the country to hide from his wife and child. And I was like, dude, why are you telling me this? I don't like you, But my friend, who was not in the film business, said, take his money. And I was like, I do not want to be associated with this project, because then my name will get painted with that brush. And even if I make a bunch of money, I'm really selling my soul to the devil, and I'm killing future work, because people will go, oh, hey, don't we all know, hey, you remember that really crappy project? Oh, I remember who that AD was. I remember who that director was. I can tell you, I still remember crappy projects and the people associated with them. And now maybe they've redeemed themselves in the years intervening, but I still remember.
Yeah. I have a long list of names that I will not mention on here
Yeah.
of people that just acted in a not professional way.
Correct. And
And
burned
I
that bridge
would
with you.
not answer the phone if they called today.
Yeah. Yeah. I had one guy be sexually inappropriate. And I won't tell the whole story here, but the very next day we were on set and I called him out on it. And he was shocked, I tell you, shocked that I said anything and would not talk to me for the entire rest of the movie, which was totally fine by me. And later on,
But that does complicate your role as a script supervisor to not be able to communicate with
as
your
a woman,
director.
it is not the first time that I have encountered a suspicious director in his hotel room. But then after the film wrapped, I heard from one of the very young 20-year-old camera assistants who, and it was her first time, and she had a bad experience. And years later, he contacted me, he texted me, and he said, "Hey, I've got another project coming up." And I'm like, on one hand, I do this to earn a living and I do this to make money. And I think I'm good at what I do and I deserve to be paid. On the other hand, do I need to put myself in a situation? For me, because I'm old and I'm bitter and I'm cranky, it would not be terribly unsafe for me.
I wouldn't say you're bitter.
Oh, I'm totally bitter. But
You're the one.
Three things.
I mean, I am not the kind of person that suffers fools, and I think I have that reputation. But do I really want to put myself in a situation where I have to deal with that?
Right. Well, I think that we can all agree that a mistake new producers make being sexually inappropriate is pretty much across the board, unacceptable.
And I have noticed recently, people will speak up now. And I have even noticed men will speak up. Whereas 20, 30 years ago, I was very often the only woman on a set. And very, very quickly figured out either I go along to get along or I never get hired again. Yeah. But that has changed. I have a daughter who's in the business, and I 100% cringe at the thought of people saying the things to her that they used to say to me. And I would just laugh it off and go, ha, ha, ha. Oh, no, you go.
You flirt.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, my God. Like nowadays, some of that stuff would just be like so unheard of. Mm-hmm. But back then, that was the business. That was.
They also used to put cocaine on the craft service table back in the 80s. So, we've come a long way in the industry.
Yeah, and the rap beers.
I miss those. I miss the good old days. All right, so that's a wrap. That's a wrap up on the one mistake new producers make in the business.
Many mistakes.
Many mistakes. Yeah, there's not just one, apparently, that producers will make. And we've all made mistakes, but,
never make the same mistake twice.
Never make the same mistake twice. Thank you. Sage advice from Eve Butterly, producer, director, educator. You're getting low on that pina colada.
Yeah, I'm pacing myself.
Pacing yourself. A little more bitter. Hey, get yourself a grip. All right. That's a wrap.
Been there,
on
done
the Martini.
that.
All right. I got a smattering of applause on that. So we are definitely signing off on that one. Have a good night.